Good morning, Year 5. Here are yesterday's answers. If you are finding that you're getting lots wrong, then please rewatch the video and have another go. If you're still stuck, then upload a picture of your work to Purple Mash for a teacher to check. Here is your Fluent in 5 for today. If you pause the screen and give yourselves 5 minutes and then come unpause for the answers. Here are your answers for today. So on to today's learning. Our concept for today is measuring angles. Now, generally, to measure an angle, you need a protractor. In school, we have lots of protractors, and if you have come to pick up a home learning pack, you may well have collected a protractor too. You also may have your own protractor at home. They quite often come in those little math sets that you might have got from Father Christmas. If you don't have a protractor, don't panic. We are still going to do the lessons because when we come back into school, we need to all start back at the same place. So we're still going to do the lessons, but for you at home, if you don't have a protractor, I will lay the protractor in the right place for you and you just have to read the scale correctly, okay? So don't worry too much if you don't have a protractor. If you do have one, it's a bonus. Right, okay, so we're going through the textbook again then. I'm just going to quickly show you what the page of the textbook looks like. What it's showing you is how to use a protractor. So if you've got that at home, you can keep using that to refer back to, but I'm just going to do a little input on how to do it, and then I'll let you get on with your practice. So here we go then. So protractors don't all look the same, okay? Here's 2 examples of what a protractor might look like. Sometimes you get one that's a full circle as well. For the purposes of what we're doing today, we're going to think about this line, which is the base line on the base of our protractor. And we're going to think very carefully about the centre, which in this protractor is a little circle, and in this one is like an upside down T. Both of those things are very important. So let's imagine that we are measuring this angle here, this purple angle. Now our baseline needs to be lined up with one of our purple lines. It doesn't matter which one. If I label this angle ABC, it doesn't matter whether our protractor sits on AB or BC. But because BC is horizontal, I'm going to find that one a bit easier. So I'm going to put this baseline onto line BC, okay? So there it is. Now, of course, this is also putting it on line BC, but I need the scale to read the angle. So the scale here is away from the angle, that won't help. So the numbers, the scale need to be in the middle of the angle, okay? Now this scale is measured in degrees. Degrees are the measurements of turn. We have done that before in both year 3 and 4, but I'll just recap for you. So we measure these in degrees and we show degree with a little circle. So a right angle we learned the other day was 90 degrees, which looks like that. Okay, there are 360 degrees in one complete turn. So each degree is like 1/360th of a full circle, okay, or a full turn. Okay, so how do we measure the angle then? Well, I said we put the baseline on, but the next thing that's really important is that the centre of the baseline is at the vertex of the angle. That's the point where the 2 lines meet. So this one would look like that. I've got my baseline lined up there and my centre at the vertex. This is no good because my baseline isn't lined up, and this is no good because my centre isn't at the vertex. Okay, that's the first bit. Now, if you haven't got a protractor at home, I'm going to be doing that first bit for you. But the next bit is the bit that sometimes causes the most problems, because you may have already noticed there are actually 2 numbers on each interval, or each demarcated interval on the protractor, okay? So which one is it? Well, this is what we need to do. We need to say, right, we've got an inner scale and an outer scale. Which one is the 0? Well, the 0 on our baseline is on the inner scale, so that's the scale we read from. So using the inner scale, I can see that this angle is 60 degrees, okay? Another way that you can help yourself not read from the wrong scale is by looking at the angle. Well, you can hopefully see that that angle is an acute angle, smaller than 90 degrees. Therefore, if I came up with the answer 120, it must be wrong because that's higher than 90 degrees. Okay, I'm just going to show you again with this protractor. Just looks a little bit different. Same thing, baseline on this line BC, centre of the line at the vertex, and then reading from the inner scale. It's slightly, oops, there we go, okay, 60 degrees. Okay, so as long as you follow those rules, you will be fine. Let's have a look at some together and then we'll move on. So let's have a look at the purple one then. So I'm going to put the protractor on, baseline on that line, centre on the vertex. What do you think this angle is? If you said 60 degrees, you will be correct. It's the same as the other one. So this angle, we'll call it angle A. Angle A equals 60 degrees. Okay, let's do the blue one. Now, the difference with the blue one is that there's not a horizontal line. I can choose which line to put my protractor on. Now, personally, I always turn the paper around so I do have a horizontal line. Or you can put the protractor on and it can be at an angle. It's up to you, okay? I'm just going to bring it to the centre so you can see it. Okay, baseline on 0, centre at the vertex. Can you read from the scale? Work out which scale you need to read from and then tell me what you think it measures. Right, so we're looking at the inner scale because our 0 is on the inner scale and we've got 45 degrees. So that angle, we'll call it angle B, is 45 degrees. Okay, angle C. Right, this time I'm not going to turn it around just to show you the difference and I'll use a different protractor. So my baseline still lined up. This time my protractor's at a different angle. The middle is on the vertex. Okay, here we go. My 0 is on the inner scale, so I'm reading the inner scale. And this time it's about 99, it's right in the middle of 99 and 100. We'll say 100. I don't mind if your degree is also out. So angle C, we will say is 100 degrees. And of course you can see that that's an obtuse angle. It's bigger than a right angle. And then angle D, this one here, this green one, I want you to have a look at it and I want you to estimate what you think the angle is. Think about what you already know. You know that this to there would be a right angle and there's some more there. How much more do you think it is? Estimate, what do you think that measures? Then I will put my protractor on for you. Baseline on the line, centre on the vertex. My 0 is on the outer scale this time. So I'm reading the outer scale and it's 130. So angle D is 130 degrees. Okay, so that's how you use a protractor. Now, a bit difficult to do the textbook work today, but if I just flick through it for you, because then you can have a look on the PowerPoint. They've put a protractor on for you to measure, and they've just reminded you about which scale you read, so you can have a work through that one. And then they've asked you again to say, well, do we read the inner or the outer scale? Remember, you always look at which 0 your baseline is on. Okay, so think about whether it's inner scale or outer scale. Okay, the answers for these are on the PowerPoint as you work through it. And again, you've got some with protractors on for you to measure. Okay, and then you have some angles to estimate. So estimate these four. What do you think they measure? Then use a protractor to measure them if you have one. If you don't have a protractor, you can keep flicking through the PowerPoint and you will see that there's a protractor laid over it for you to work it out. Okay, do those, make sure you're really happy with it, and then you can go on to practice the rest of practice 1, which is, I think it's 3 pages for you. So here it is quickly. I will do a screenshot of each page for you in case you're doing this at home and don't have the paper. And I'll be back tomorrow with the answers.